Hey guys, welcome to part two of my series of I'm getting a new guitar. I believe it's going to end up being three parts, maybe four parts, because I have another idea that might go after that just to finish it up. But if you recall from part one, my goal is to find another guitar to sort of replace this one. I plan on still using this. I will eventually get it refretted, but just in case something happens, I want to have another one. Besides, it's good to have another one that's going to fit the same general goals that this one does. And so while doing it, I was going through, I did tons of measurements. I measured the neck, the weight of the guitar, everything, because I love it so much. I want to find something that really fits it well. Also, I will say a lot of you viewers that watch the video gave me some really good insight and some choices that you thought might be a good fit. And I greatly appreciate that. And anyway, while I was going through my search, I come up with a couple things. One thing I did want to change, as much as I love these pickups, they are a little too hot and they can overload interfaces. Also, they really will pick up any little detail that you do that shouldn't have been hit, really more than any other pickups. So I wanted something maybe a little more forgiving. So with that in mind, I did my research. I checked all kinds of shops. I checked Sweetwater, which I love Sweetwater and their great service. I checked guitar centers. I checked all over the place. I've been checking the used market. I just didn't find anything that really fit the specs that I'm like, especially the neck specs is something that was really essential to me. I sort of wanted an HSH setup too, as well, sort of like another super strat. But I just wasn't able to find price points. Matter of fact, closest thing I keep finding around something like this would be around 800 and something dollars. Now, granted, in guitar wise, that's not necessarily a ton of money. But here's the thing: today's day and age, you can get a lot more guitar for your money for a lot less than what you could just even 10 years ago. I seen a video recently. Maybe I'll do a response video of Guitar Max on that, just because people were complaining that you get a cheap guitar, it might have a cheap wood body, particle board, and things like that. And he demystified that with today. And he even pointed out towards the end of his video, and I'm glad he did. That might not be happening today, but if you go back in the '90s and you grab one of those guitars for $200, some of them were particle board and things like that. I've seen them, test them, check them out myself. So, but CNC, modern technology, and things have really brought the prices down, so you can get a cheaper guitar that's really good. And that's piqued my interest because as I was looking, I thought, you know what? Why don't I make myself an additional challenge? When I get this guitar, it has to be in the same price range as this one that I received. Now, it's additional challenge because I actually got it on clearance. And if you've watched part one, you understand the story behind it. I only ponied up like half the money for it. My mother was fantastic and helped me with the rest. So really, I could say my budget was probably around $400 and below. If I want to get more serious with the clearance discount and everything, it's probably around $250. Now we're getting to have a challenge there. And so I was looking around, keeping that in mind to give myself that additional challenge. I just wasn't really finding anything. I looked and looked, and just not quite meeting what I wanted with this guitar. I look at this guitar and it brings back a lot of memories, so I want to make sure I replace it with something that has the utility as this one as well. And I was unable to find, as I said, what I was looking for. So believe it or not, of all places, I went to AliExpress. Yeah, I've been watching some videos on that you could potentially get some pretty good stuff from there. I'm a little leery on that, and I expect, if you do, you'd have to do some additional work. But what I did is this. I started looking for shops that have been around a while. Be very careful if you ever shop on AliExpress. Make sure that shop has actually been there for a long time. Because there's a lot of guitar makers and things a week, a month, that's all they've been there. You give them their money, they might disappear. So anyway, I found a shop that's been around a while, and it had a lot of reviews as well. And I read the reviews, and they're very positive. Now, I know reviews can be faked as well, sadly, but it happens. But so I did my due diligence, and then I contacted the manufacturer, the seller, if you will. And I told him about the specs and asked him, what does he have that might fit? Or what could he do? And he said, actually, I could do this for you. And he gave me some information. He showed me a potential guitar there with maybe a few tweaks. It would fit what I maybe exactly looking for, or be close enough. And he did have one. It really wouldn't take much modification either. And I said, wow. And the price was really, really good. And I said, well, to myself, if I get this, I'm expecting I'm going to have to do some fret work, probably. I'll probably have to, uh, of course, I'm going to have to set it up and all that, which you do with almost any guitar today. Say I have to set up my guitar is not a big deal to me. I knew I'd probably have to intonate it, but I figured I might have to do some fret filing. I'll have to use my fret rocker, make sure I take care of the neck, which, to be honest with you, you still get with some guitars today, especially if you're buying a Gibson. I have to say I've had much better luck with Fender and definitely better luck with Paul Reed Smith, getting one that I didn't have to do as much work out of the box. But I've always had to do some intonation and setup, which was not a big deal to me. So I figured, you know what? I might do this. I might check it out. So after all my research, I did order a guitar. And I've spent several weeks now waiting for it to arrive. I started wondering, is it going to get here? Is something happened to this thing? Well, I got it. So I've done my work, I've done my search, and I'm getting a guitar that's going to be complementary to this. And that's the guitar I'm going to show you next video. So I want you to take a moment, if you don't mind, and tell me in the chat, what kind of guitar do you think I should have gotten to replace this one? Or if you have a guess of what my pick was. I'd love to hear it. I want to see if you're right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me so far on this adventure. As my next one, I'm going to reveal what that guitar is. And I might do a fourth one, depending on how good that guitar is and what work I have to do on it. Maybe describing that as well and sharing my final thoughts. So once again, thanks for coming on this trip with me. I greatly appreciate it. You all take care. And until next time, keep it frugal.